Over the weekend, I saw a story that epitomizes what I think is wrong in politics today on both sides. I've probably spent more than most in the last 10 years urging Christian MAGA supporters to stop buying into the lies, all the lies that come from that side, and to certainly not participate in the spreading of them. And I'm usually met with a response that's something like, well, what about the lies coming out of the left? Why are you complaining to us about our lies? Well, that's a good question. And my answer to Christians on that question is just because someone else is lying doesn't make it okay for you to. It's still a sin for you, no matter who else is doing it. So don't do it. I want to show you an example of an article that came out over the weekend that really illustrates what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to show a video of Trump supposedly stumbling up the steps to Marine One and a video of Biden doing the same on Air Force One. And then I'm going to have a bit of a confession at the end about something I've done that I'm not proud of at all. In fact, I'm quite ashamed of it. A few years ago, along these lines about what we're talking about right now. But on this article that I'm going to share about Trump, supposedly falling and stumbling on the steps, don't get me wrong. I'm not here to defend Trump. I've been criticizing him for 10 years now. But as a Christian, I think we have to be fair and honest in our criticisms. And I'm showing this because it's an example of the type of dishonest criticism that's not only unfair, but it's also unhelpful to our cause. I'll get to the article in just a second to show you what I'm talking about. And let me know in the comments if you agree or if you think I'm totally off my rocker. But first, if you want to support conservative Christian content that's not MAGA, then click like. That's all you got to do to support it. And if you'd like to see more content like this, click subscribe. Okay, this is from the Irish Star. Irish, not Iris. The Irish Star. And it appeared in a lot of other places, but that's just where I happened to pick it up. It has a big headline blaring, Trump filmed stumbling up Marine One steps as health fears continue to grow. Just based on that, what do you think you're going to see when you watch this video? I thought I was going to see a man falling down the stairs and barely able to get up. I mean, this is causing growing health fears and panic, right? So you expect to see something dramatic. Well, here's what we actually saw. Wait, let's watch that in slow motion one more time. I mean, it was basically nothing. But these stories make it sound like he's just about to be admitted to the hospital. In other words, the stories are huge exaggerations and they're not honest. And I'll tell you this, they do absolutely nothing to persuade MAGA people that something's wrong with the president. If we want to persuade them, then there are enough true stories we could use for that purpose on a daily basis. But as I've always said about liberals when they do this kind of thing to Republicans, if you have to make stuff up in order to find a complaint, then perhaps there's not really anything to complain about. So when the anti-Trump media goes on like this, making stuff up, exaggerating things, turning nothings into somethings, all it does is further convince MAGA that we're lying about everything and that there's nothing to see here. It convinces them of the exact opposite of what we want to convince them of. Instead of convincing them that there's something desperately wrong here, it convinces them that there's nothing wrong and that we're all just making it up because we're deranged. We're kind of convincing them there's something wrong with us when we make things up. Then to make this story even worse, the media, the anti-Trump media, compared it to Biden's stumble on Air Force One a couple of years ago. They write, people have compared Donald Trump to former President Joe Biden after the new leader of the White House was caught on cameras stumbling up steps of his Marine One helicopter. Really? People compare that to Biden? Let's take a look at what happened to Biden. That was sad. Poor guy. My heart goes out to him on that. That was embarrassing. But I mean, there's a night and day difference there, don't you think? I mean, one is a genuine fall. It's actually two big stumbles and then a fall. And the other is just like his foot got snagged on something for half a second. He didn't trip, he didn't fall. I mean, if you look at it honestly, I don't see anything there to make anyone question his health. And I certainly don't see anything there to make anyone compare this to Biden's fall. Biden had a real fall. Well, now for a little confession that I have to make. I'm actually not really one to talk about all this because I speak as one who 15 years ago did this exact same thing relentlessly to Barack Obama for about a year and a half until I came to my senses. And as a Christian, I realized finally that what I was doing wasn't right because I essentially had to lie. I mean, I thought I was exaggerating a little bit for humor, but in the end, I realized exaggerations are lies. And as much as I wanted to oppose Obama and try to slow him down in any tiny way I couldn't use lies to do it because I'm a Christian and God commands us not to lie. Well, it's like I tell my MAGA friends now who do engage in lying sometimes, and they approve of Trump doing it most of the time. And I tell them, if you have to sin to win a battle, then God isn't calling you to win that battle. And I can say that now after going through this myself 15 years ago and finally coming to my senses and realizing that I was actually believing that the political battle was so important and saving the country from liberals was so important that I was justified in sinning if it would help the conservative side win. But that's so wrong on so many levels. Yet I was really good at it. I gained an online following of around 35,000 people at a time that being a social media influencer was just starting to become a thing. But I was growing my audience by lying. So I know that lying works. I know it helps people build a big following. And I understand why the people who do it today are doing it. And I'm not just talking about regular people. I'm talking about, the big people, the people in conservative media, Republican office holders, and all these people. They're doing it, and they know they're doing it, and they know why they're doing it. But it's terribly, terribly wrong. And if it's wrong for them, then it's just as wrong for us. It's just as wrong for us to take a tiny little slip of the president as he walks up the steps of a helicopter and make some giant deal out of it as it is for MAGA to tell all the lies they tell. We can't very well sit here and say they're wrong and we're right if we're doing the same thing. And that's why I'm calling out this article and any like it to say to you, my conservative Christian but non-MAGA friends, let's don't go down that road. No good can come from it. There's no reward on the other side for this kind of behavior. And as I do videos here and continue to criticize the president, as I'm sure I probably will, I want to always keep it fair and honest. And if I ever start to get off track, I want you to call me on it. All right? All right. Well, thanks for watching. And if you have any thoughts on anything I've said, feel free to share them with me in the comments. And take care, and I'll see you next time.